In lesson 4, we're going to talk about remembering things. 我们的第一个生词是记得，第二想起来，第三想不起来，第四同。And I'm also going to talk in detail about the grammar behind so-called compound directional complements. This is quite complicated, and it's not essential to our lesson, so it's an optional lecture. You can skip it if you want. But if you're interested, I will discuss this in detail. This video will be therefore much longer than other videos. All right, let's look at our words first. 第一，同，同，同. This just means the same. It's a little bit tricky to use individually. So let's look at 同 in context. Let's look at our textbook sentence. 王鹏跟李友在同一个学校学习. So here they study at the same school. So 同 is usually used with like a specific kind of noun, like 同一个, with a measure word. So 同 plus measure word plus noun. That's usually how it's used. 同一个学校啊，他们有同一个朋友啊，我们是同一个城市的人. So you wouldn't necessarily use it individually. It's a little bit different from, for example, the A and B 一样 structure. So I would just focus on this phrase 同一个 something 同一个学校 and remember that. Our second word is 记得记得记得 This just means to remember. 你还记得我吗? Do you still remember me? 你还记得我吗? We can also say 想起来 as a way to say remember. 想起来. Do you remember me? 想起来. Opposite, 想不起来. What is the difference between 记得 and 想起来? Well, they're usually somewhat interchangeable, but 记得 specifically refers to just remembering in general, and 想起来 has the specific meaning of retrieving information. For example, I can say this sentence. 我记得他上过我的课. I remember in general that he has taken my class. 可是我想不起来他叫什么名字. But I can't quite retrieve the memory of what his name is. 想起来 is a so-called compound directional complement. So if you want to talk about literally what 想起来 means, 想 means to think. 起来 is a compound directional complement that means to get up. So 想起来 literally means to think it up. A movement from a lower point to a higher point, like to think up a certain recollection or memory. Now, for the purposes of this lesson, as long as you know 想起来 and 想不起来, you're fine. But if you want to know what directional complements are in more detail, I'm going to discuss this now. This is going to be a long lecture, so feel free to skip this optional explanation. To go back to the beginning, what is a complement? What is a complement? A complement is a word you add after a verb that describes the action of the verb. So in this case, a directional complement describes what direction the verb is going, what the person or the object is doing in terms of motion. If it's just one word, it's a simple directional complement. However, when you combine the directional complement with 来 and 去, which is also a directional complement. And you have a two-word compound directional complement. Okay, we're going to take each example and each pattern one by one. So first, there are many kinds of direction words or direction verbs or complements. For example, 上,下,进,出,回,过,起,开,到,来, treat. All these words describe certain directions. Lie and tree are probably one of the most common, but you will all see them. For a simple directional complement, there are two patterns. One, we have a verb plus lie and tree. And in the second, we have a verb followed by 上 or 下, usually with some kind of location or place word. For example, 请你买一些水果来. Please buy some fruit and bring it here. So here, 买 is the verb, 一些水果 is the thing, and 来 is the direction complement. 你给他送一点儿吃的东西去. So you are to him are going to send some things to eat, and you're going to send it over there. So you want the direction complement 去. 他买来了一些水果. This is a slightly different pattern where so the 来, the direction complement directly follows the verb 买. He bought some fruit and brought it here. When a verb is followed by a location word, that verb can only be a directional verb, such as 上 or 下. For example, 他下楼来. He's coming downstairs. 下 is a direction verb, and 来 is a direction complement because you're directly describing as location that someone is going towards. So you need to use both a direction verb and a direction complement. Another example, 她上楼去. She's going upstairs. Direction verb up, direction complement there. When you combine these simple direction complement patterns with 来 or 去, then you get a compound directional complement with more complicated meanings. Let's look at some patterns. For example, instead of saying 他走下楼, we add a 来 or a 去 at the end. So I would say 他走下楼来. What's the difference? Well, now you're giving more information about the speaker, right? 她走下楼. So she's going downstairs towards, right, here, towards whoever's speaking this sentence. Let's look at another example. 老师走进教室去 or 来. So the teacher is walking into the classroom, right? So here is the verb, here is the first direction complement, and here is the second directional complement. If the speaker is not in the classroom, then you would say 老师走进教室去. If the speaker is inside the classroom, then you'd use 来. You would say 老师走进教室来. Another example. 弟弟跳上床来. If you're in the bed with your brother. 弟弟跳上床去. If the speaker is not on the bed with the little brother. 我的同学走进书店来. That means my classmate is walking into the bookstore where I am here. But if I'm not in the bookstore, I would say 我的同学走进书店去. 请你买回一些梨来. Please go buy some pears, and then 回, first direction column, come back here. second direction complement. 请大家都拿起笔来. Please everyone pick up a pen here. Now, this qi is a little bit complex. It's not as straightforward as some other direction complements. Remember, qi means to rise up, so to go from a low place to a high place. So here you're literally just, you're picking up a pen, qi lai, qi lai. Qi lai is kind of a phrase. Qi lai signifies a movement from a lower point to a higher point. Qi is never used with qi. This is just something that you have to remember. Qi is always kind of used with lai. Qi lai meaning to go from a lower point to a higher point. In fact, that's the compound direction complement that we're learning in this lesson. 想起来, to learn to think up something, or 想不起来, you can't think up something. Our final pattern, we have a directional complement used with the ba structure. Remember, ba reverses the word order of a sentence, so you have the subject and then ba, and then the object and then the verb. And then you can add a directional complement after the verb in order to give it more information to complete the action of the verb. So let's look at an example. 请把你的床搬来. Please move your bed here. So 你的床 is the object, and 搬 is the verb, and 来 is the simple direction complement. Let's look at another example. 把这杯冰茶拿去. This cup of iced tea, please take that away. There. We can use 把, of course, with a compound directional complement. 我把书拿起来了. I picked up the book. So here, book, I picked it, and then signifying from a lower to a higher point, I picked up the book. 我把书拿起来了. 快把车开回去. Quickly, please take this car and drive it. 开 where? 回家去. Back to the house, away from the speaker. So in general, the relationship between the ba structure and directional complements is very close, because we often use directional complements with ba, because remember, with ba you have to add a complement or some other element after the verb anyway. So it's very common to use directional complements with ba and vice versa. So you might see that structure quite a bit in the future. All right, that's kind of an overview of directional complements. I hope that this explanation has been helpful to you. Again, for the purposes of this lesson, all you really have to know is 想起来 and 想不起来and the meaning. But it's a good idea to understand directional complements because you'll encounter them in the future. Thanks for listening.